Hi guys, Miss Novello here, and today I'm going to show you a digital tutorial for how to create a roof topping assignment using SketchbookX. SketchbookX is a free app, so download it and let's play. So right now I'm looking at an example I made. This project was inspired by Mr. Blaze, and I'm just going to digitize it to kind of add a little bit more spice to the linear perspective unit. So now that I'm in the SketchbookX, I'm going to tap on the plus sign to create a new project. My iPad is a portrait, and what I'm going to do first is select my drawing tools. I'm going to tap the paintbrush, and I'm going to choose the pen as my drawing tool first, like maybe the one in the middle on the left, and it's at between 2 and 3 radius, and it's at 1 opacity. So I'm going to tap out of that. I'm going to visually divide my screen into thirds, and the first third of my screen in the very middle I'm going to tap to make a dot. It's very slight. Now what I'm going to do is there's a wavy line that I'll tap. I want the line tool, and I'm going to draw 2 parallel lines right beneath and right above the dot that I created. It's okay if it's not in the center. Oops. Alright, so now that I'm done with that, I still see that dot in the middle, and that's going to be my vanishing point. We're going to create our buildings on the top. So I'm going to go back to that line tool and tap it. Now I'm going to tap on the square. I'm going to create 3 shapes on the very top of my screen. I'm going to start with a center, and this shape needs to be the largest. So I'm going to use my stylus to start drawing my very large rectangle. This is the rectangle and the base that I'm going to be sitting on. When I'm done with that, I'm going to tap the shape again to create my second and third shapes. They're going to be right next to that rectangle. And these are going to be a little bit smaller, but I do want the bottoms of them to line up as best as I can. So if your shapes aren't being created, it may be that you have to tap the shape icon once again, and then it works. Alright, so now that I have those shapes, I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. But the shapes on the bottom are going to be smaller because they're farther away. So remember, we're doing a linear perspective project, and what's farther away from our vision is smaller. So I'm going to continue to press the square, go to the center. If that happens, just hit the back arrow. Hit the square. Get your middle shape, and then do 2 other shapes just for balance. Now for this tutorial, I'm not going to design the bottom shapes because I think you'll see how to do it from the top shapes, but I just want to walk you through how to set up your composition. So here are my shapes on the bottom. There. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and create the lines of our building. So we always want to line up the bottom left, the bottom right of our shapes to the vanishing point. However, we do not want these lines to pass through the street. So just to remind you that this is a street, I'm going to hit the line tool, and I'm going to add some dashed lines in the center just as a visual reminder. I'm not going to go over my dot because I need that as a visual reference for my vanishing point, but here's street detail. Alright, so I'm already on the line tool. I'm going to start with my middle building, and I'm going to just put my stylus on the bottom right corner, and I'm going to put my line where I feel it would line up exactly to that vanishing point. But I'm not passing through the street. See how I did that? Okay, so I'm going to do that to each building. Just eyeball it. You can use a ruler, to guide you at your table if you'd like. But for this, I'm just going to make it very quick for you to see. Okay. Now, it might not be perfect, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to go fast. I also want to add dimension to the upper right and upper left corners of my rectangles above to give it that dimension. However, because I don't want to pass through my building, I really truly am just going to eyeball it and stop my line right there so it doesn't intersect. So you're going to do the same to yours. So whatever we do to the top of our perspective, we're going to do to the bottom of our perspective. So you would be adding your lines to the bottom shapes to the vanishing point the same way. All right, now, so for some other details that you may want to add to give your buildings a more realistic look are windows. So remember, with perspective, things that are closer to you appear larger, and as they vanish to the vanishing point, they become smaller. So you may want to start with windows that are much wider, and as they dissolve into the vanishing point, you can make them closer together to give it that realistic look. So I'll just do one building here with windows so that you can see that. But I would have my students do all of the windows. All right, so adding windows to all sides of the building or just one side, it's really your choice. But now we're at the point where we're going to save. So I'm going to tap the 4 blocks on the upper left-hand side. I'm going to save it, but I also want to save it to my camera roll. So I need to find my new drawing here and tap on it. On the bottom, around the middle, there's a flower with an arrow. I'm going to tap that and save it to my photo library. It's going to ask you what orientation you want it, so just click on the orientation you want, and then it's saved to the camera roll. So thank you for watching, and our next step will be how to superimpose our selfie image onto the rooftop building. Thanks.